This is Bloomberg Surveillance.
America in retail, that was a story last week. It was that the American consumer is decidedly challenged, no, not flat on their back, but nevertheless challenged. We'll look at retail later in the hour. But first, our guest host, Mortimer Singer, president and CEO of Marvin Traub Associates, on a non-economist view of the American consumer. We talked to economists, Morty, and they go on about Y equals C plus I plus G plus NX. You don't do that. What do you actually see about the American consumer right now?
Well, I think it's very easy to blame the American consumer alone for what's happening. I think that ultimately there's been a sameness in the industry, in this country in particular, that has caused that there be a certain disinterest in really actually actively shopping.
Are our closets full? And our garages, are they full?
Well, not only that, on an annual basis, and you compound it, the amount of services to allow you to monetize your closet are also competing with the mainstream guys. So there's the actual inventory that's out there is compounded every year.
You got the Herreshoff in your 4-car garage, right?
The Herreshoff would not fit in my 4-car garage. Exactly. It's a problem. It's a bit, sorry, I was about to talk about how you store a Herreshoff and where you put the jack stands, and we're going to get very complicated. You know, Tom is tired of talking about Radio Shack, but if you'll indulge for just a second, Tom. You know, one of the things that I couldn't figure out how to disentangle when we watched Radio Shack results last year or so is how much of that is people don't like Radio Shack and how much of it is people aren't going to the mall. Is the mall a problem? Has that resolved itself?
No, that problem has not resolved itself. I mean, the amount of inventory of malls that are, call it, traditional inline malls that are there to just basically stock retail stores isn't enough for the consumer. They want excitement, they want entertainment, they want restaurants, they want bars and cinema, and it's about retailtainment, as they call it, and that's not being given. It's actually being given more at the luxury end of the market and hasn't been figured out in the mid end.
We've got 42 seconds into this. We've yet to discuss the elephant in the room, which is Amazon and the internet. I've got a lot of retail people saying to me, happy, retail's going to get along with the internet, blah, blah, blah. And I got a small group saying, you're out of your minds, internet's killing them.
It is.
Are they?
It's 93, well, brick and mortar is 93% of the pie right now, 7% is online.
But at the margin?
Really? But it's actually growing at 15% a year online still, and that's not going to stop. So I think that ultimately the omni-channel piece, the connectivity between online and offline, those who actually invest in that will be the winners, because that customer is 5 times more valuable than a mono-channel customer.
Brick and mortar is 93%. I would not have guessed that the number is still that high.
Yeah, it's still the ocean right now.
To the retail that we'll talk about later in the hour, let's talk about the icon, Terry Lundgren of Macy's. Everybody thinks he had some really tough years, and he's doing everything right. What did you learn about Macy's in the last 3-4 weeks with their statement and what you observe in their stores?
Well, I think they are pound for pound one of the best retailers on earth. I believe that they have really organized themselves from an infrastructure perspective to be able to actually take their company now offshore.
Have they stumbled, though? Even they have stumbled?
I don't believe they've stumbled. I believe that they have now got to focus on their private brands. They have an amazing arsenal of private brands. $5 billion of their 30 is done through their own brands. And they have opportunity, therefore, overseas. They have opportunity in outlet, and they haven't started it with any of that. So I think there's an interesting opportunity there for it.
Mortimer Singer with us from Marvin Traub. I am taken by the decline of Gap. Let's start there. They're just not doing well. I go in, it's flat and boring. Again, to this word that we've been using in the hour, desperation. How desperate is Gap?
I wouldn't say it's a desperate hour for Gap. I think they have an amazing footprint. They have 3 brands. They have Old Navy, Banana Republic. They actually have Athleta as well. So, but I think the issue is that the likes of Inditex, which is Zara to most people who don't know that Inditex is the name of the parent, there's a lot of competition, and Uniqlo and J. Crew. And,
Are there too many stores?
In the United States, per capita, there's probably about 35 feet per capita, and that's too many stores. And I think that ultimately the globalization of these brands is where the competition is happening. It's not happening here, it's happening overseas.
I was struck by something you said, I think in the break, which was that brands don't have the pull for millennials as they do for boomers. That the older you get, the more likely you are to be attached to a brand.
Well, once upon a time, you were wooed by the brands to say that you should live a certain lifestyle and that you should be looking to be like an English lord and living a certain lifestyle. And today, the millennials don't feel that way. They want to define their own lifestyle through the products they buy, and it's sort of the I brand. as it were.
I was struck to look up at Bloomberg Television the other day and see none other than Kim Kardashian West on our television, on our network, talking about her game. But I mean, I think that there's this idea, again, that you were talking about, that celebrities aren't just endorsing, they're getting actively involved in these products.
Yes. So, we have a division at Traub called Traub Celebrity and Traub Consumer, and we have clients that are effectively celebrities, and we're trying to tell them that they have to not just do royalty and licensing deals, which will get them wonderful fees, but ultimately they need terminal value. If they can actually create an enterprise, they can actually have a staying power beyond their career.
Who's the example of best practices there?
Well, I think everyone's trying to be Dr. Dre, who had a huge exit to Apple with Beats. You have Jessica Alba, who created the Honest company, which has $1 billion valuation today.
I didn't know that. She didn't.
And then you have likes of Maria Sharapova and Dita Von Teese creating their own businesses. And the list goes on and on. But those who actually care about product first will actually be able to create amazing businesses with their celebrity as the intel inside. I
mean, that seems so obvious when you lay it out like that as a celebrity, you don't just want to collect the cash for endorsing, but you want some terminal value as well. It seems so obvious that I wonder, why haven't they always been doing that? What has changed?
I think that the realization that they can go straight to the consumer. 20 years ago, everyone had to go to a retailer, even the brands, even the media companies. But today, anyone can go straight to the consumer and, again, disintermediate.
This is what Tom's been saying all morning, is that in all of these trends, scratch the surface and you find the internet.
Yeah, you find the internet there. I think the website, The Business of Fashion, looking at the conglomerates, or the European conglomerates that have bought 20 and 30 companies. Is that yesterday's story?
No, I think that they will continue to thrive, the big conglomerates, because they have the efficiencies of the scale of all those brands. But as they say in the business of fashion, technology is vital, and not enough people are doing it in luxury and in the whole retail economy.
I was told someone you'd be on this Monday morning. They said, ask him about Michael Kors. I mean, is that how you blow up a brand? What did Michael Kors do to get in the position it's in as it enters the summer and gets ready for fall?
Michael Kors was the confluence of many wonderful things happening at the same time. They had an amazing designer, amazing brand. They followed a model which was akin to aspirational luxury, namely
a lot of stores.
What Coach was doing and other things. And they also had this Hollywood jet set mission and image that they portrayed, whereby the airplane and the man and the handbag were the accessory together for that woman.
Airplane.
It's my airplane. Real quick, if I'm coming out of FIT right now with a brand new degree in design, where do I go? What is my next step?
So design today is in the boardroom for the first time, and in the last 5 years, Steve Jobs ensured that. So there are actually a lot of companies focusing on the talent they hire within their companies, not just in fashion design, but in all forms of design, be it architecture, etc. So for both Parsons, FIT, all the wonderful schools we have in this city and around the world, those students are learning the business of fashion, as we call it, and
as well as the fashion part.
Yeah.
Okay, let's leave it there. Morty Singer, thank you so much, with Marvin Traub.